Not enough time in the day, and you have more tasks than you have time. And by the time you finish the task, you end your day in what feels like overexertion. You end your day, you're exhausted. You end your day with no peace, no joy, trying to figure out, how can I change this? This is just too much for me. You find yourself in a place of burnout. And burnout is not a good place to be. Because in burnout, you find yourself reacting more quickly than you are responding. Because you're irritable, you're frustrated, and that is now being pushed off onto the people that you love the most, because you're not really sure how to change those feelings, change the way you feel about what you have to do. If you could change the way you thought about your task, that could jumpstart you to having a mindset shift on looking at what you have to do as a get to, as an honor to, as a privilege to, as opposed to an obligation to. Because as long as you look at what you have to do as an obligation to, it then becomes, oh, I don't want to. I wish I didn't have to. But when the attitude or when the mindset shift is, I get to, I'm honored to, I want to, it's no longer an obligation. It's then a joy to do. It is, I can't wait that I get the opportunity to do so. So being able to find joy in doing the things that serves your husband, serves your family, serves you, just makes things better for the environment in which you and your family are gonna be in. And when you can create that type of environment for you and your family, there's nothing but great things that will come from that. There's nothing but great things that you will promote from that, because you're already exerting that positive attitude that, hey, you know what? There's joy here. There's greatness here. There's greatness that's gonna come from here. But I do understand that you can find yourself in a place that you don't know how to get there, because I was there. And no one told me that my problem was I was misaligned. No one told me that as a wife, I needed to be aligned. That was never a lesson that was given to me. So probably because it wasn't given to me, it may not have been given to you. But guess what? Now that you've had the opportunity to meet me, I'm telling you that as a wife, you need to be aligned. The feeling that you feel overexerted, overworked, things are just piling on top of you and you're burned out. It may not be actual overexertion. It may just be you're misaligned. So you can't handle currently, mentally, emotionally, physically, the things that you need to take care of, because you're misaligned. You're missing the mark on how to be able to approach the many things that you have to do. Let's just make it clear, as a woman, as a wife, you have a lot of things to do that won't change. Becoming aligned helps you understand what's important, why it's important, why you're doing what you're doing, and the attitude in which you should approach what you're doing. When that is off, when that is not aligned the way it should be, everything becomes an obligation. Everything becomes a burden. Everything becomes a not enough because of the way that you have approached it. But it's not your fault, because if no one has taught you that you need to be aligned, you think that the way that you're going about it is the best that you have. It is the best that you have, because it's what you've chosen to do. It's what you have agreed to do. But you weren't given the tools to be able to show you how to do it differently. So because you've met me, I now get to tell you how to do it differently. I get to show you how to become an aligned wife so that there's no more overexertion. There's no more burnout. You get to escape the place of burnout because you're aligned. You will become aligned. Now, let me just say, it's a journey. It's not a destination. There is no, okay, let me do this and in 5 days, I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. This is a forever growing process. This is a forever growing journey. Let's be clear on that. Because as soon as you stop, as soon as you make this a destination and no longer a journey, guess who else stops? Your spouse stops. You can't encourage them to grow any further. You can't encourage your marriage or your union to grow any further because you've chosen to look at it as okay, we've arrived. Your family can't grow from a place because once you've arrived, where do we go from there? So when you change your mindset to think and know that, hey, we're going on a journey to grow, we're going on a journey to forever grow, then you cultivate that type of environment for your household, for your family, to know that this is something that will ever evolve from. Start there. Know that escaping this place called burnout can start with something just as simple as you aligning the way that you communicate. And I know no one's ever told you this because no one ever told me. But I'm here to tell you today how you can do that. 3 simple steps, 3 simple concepts that you can apply to change the way you align your communication. Number 1, whenever you are going to start a conversation with your husband, consider proximity. Where are you when you start this conversation? Are you standing and you both are making eye contact? So there is an understanding, a mutual understanding that we're having a conversation? Or are you in another room, yelling out a request, saying something that you want, asking him to look for something, and you yelling this from another room? You have no idea if he even hears you. You have no idea if he's even paying attention to you because the first step was ineffective. Do not have conversations across the room. Go and make eye contact. Be sure that you start your conversation in an efficient way. In the same time, examining where you are when you start the conversation, be sure that you also think about the timing. How is the timing? Is this an appropriate time that you're having this conversation? Especially if it's a loaded conversation, you need to make sure that the timing is appropriate. Second thing, tone. Your tone is your emotional decoder. It will tell the truth about your words when your words don't tell the truth. How you choose to say the message that you're trying to get across, it's all in your tone. So be sure that when you want to have an effective conversation, which should always be the goal, understand that your tone needs to be appropriate. I'm gonna give you a challenge. The next time you approach your husband to have a conversation and it doesn't go well, I want you to think about the tone in which you expressed what you expressed, whether it was in the beginning of the conversation, in the middle of the conversation, or the end. At whatever point your tone changed, whether that means your voice got louder or it got softer because you shut down, ask yourself, if the roles were flipped and the tone of voice that in which I used, he used to me, would I find this to be an effective conversation? If your answer is no, then I need you to adjust your tone. This is a skill that you have to build, that you have to learn. And again, it doesn't matter if when the conversation becomes inappropriate, you go higher and your voice raises, or you go lower because you're feeling unheard, you're feeling misunderstood, so you just shut down. Either of those are not good options. You do not walk away from this conversation feeling confident in who you are as a wife, as a woman. So no matter which extreme you may be a part of, you want to bring it back to the middle to make sure you walk away from this conversation and you both walk away feeling respected and heard. So check your tone. What is the tone that you started the conversation, and how do you carry the tone throughout the conversation? Lastly, clarity. Clarity plays such a big part in your conversation and the effectiveness of your conversation. When the conversation is over, are you both clear on what the next steps are? Do you understand his stance? Does he understand your stance? Are there any action items that are to be followed up behind this conversation? Who's responsible for doing these action items? Was it made clear that I'm going to do this and you're going to do that? If you were not able to come to a conclusion by the end of the conversation, was there a follow-up that was made clear? We're going to follow up tomorrow. We'll revisit this next week on Monday after 6 o'clock. Is it clear when the follow-up is going to take place? Clarity will allow you to be able to face your emotions with fact. You may be feeling some kind of way, but if you're clear on your spouse's stance, when you're clear on what those next action items are going to be, you can cut down on misunderstanding because you cut down on what you think you have to assume. You don't have to assume because there's clarity there. You already know what the next steps are. You already know where we're going with this. You already know what the follow-up information is going to be. So when you have clarity, when you give that clarity, when you make sure that the clarity is given to you, you can combat how you feel, your assumptions that you may take. You can combat that with fact. 3 simple steps. Walk through this journey with me. Proximity, consider where you are when you start the conversation. Consider your timing. 2, evaluate your tone. Start the conversation off with a respectful tone. Deliver the conversation with a respectful tone. End the conversation with a respectful tone. Your tone can and will make or break the effectiveness of your conversation. And lastly, address clarity. Are you clear when you walk away from this conversation what the next steps are? Is he clear when you walk away from the conversation what the next steps are? The goal should always be, at the end of the conversation, we both walk away feeling heard. We both walk away feeling respected. And you can walk away feeling confident and knowing that you had a meaningful, connected conversation with your husband. You need more of this? Because I did. Come join my Aligned Wife Circle. In this circle, it provides coaching calls every week where we get an opportunity to take a deeper dive in whatever our topic for the week is that week. I get the opportunity to be able to ask you some questions so that you can dive deeper into you to discover what it is that's keeping you from walking in that place of peace, keeping you from being able to remove yourself from this place of burnout so that you can step into a place of joy. Start with my Start Your Journey bundle. If you're not quite sure that you want to join the community just now, get the Start Your Journey bundle. Provides you 10 essential things for you to think about to be able to reframe your train of thought before you start a conversation. I call it my Peace Talk checklist. You want this checklist so that you can think about where your mind needs to be, where your thoughts need to be before you start a loaded conversation. These things that we weren't taught prior to can help to make a better connection between you and your husband. If there's anything that I can do to help you have a better connection so that your family thrives, that's why I'm here. That's what this platform is for. Come be an aligned wife with me. Let me show you how to be an aligned wife. You didn't know you needed to be an aligned wife, but now that you've made contact with me, you know that that's a requirement. You can't do wife without being aligned. You're going to stay in burnout. You're going to stay in resentment. You're going to stay in not having self-control of your emotions, your feelings, and you're going to be all out of whack because you're misaligned. Let me show you how to be an aligned wife. I'll catch you on the next one.